I'm going to talk about vector tools, and I'm going to start with the type tool and some of our options in here. One of the things that you need to know is what's the difference between a vector graphic and a bitmap graphic in Photoshop. And the prime thing is vector graphics are made from a mathematical formula. They're very concise. It's like they're very condensed. There's a code that tells you where things are mapped out and how things are mapped out. With bitmap, every single little tiny pixel has to be given a positional number, a position on the XY coordinates, and a set of numbers for the color and the brightness and darkness, etc. So it's much more cost effective as far as memory goes and space goes to use vector graphics. The other advantage of vector graphics is that they are infinitely scalable. I can use the transform tool and make this exceedingly small. It's still going to be just as crisp and sharp. I can come in and make it exceedingly large. I can make it the size of a building and it's still going to be crisp and sharp at the edges. It's a vector graphic. You cannot do that with bitmap graphics. There are a ton of other things that you can do with bitmap graphics that you can't do with vector graphics. For instance, paint, add text. You can add texture to vector graphics, but it's not nearly as pliable. So there are reasons for using both, and Photoshop offers you both within the program. We can use both. One of the questions that's come up this semester is the use of type in web, and there are some typefaces that are specifically used for the web available to you. If you go up to your Creative Cloud and your assets, I believe, fonts, and then there are some fonts that you can use that are specifically designed to be used on the web. They aren't quite as anti-aliased, they're a little bit crisper, and they're designed for web use. So you might try that if that's become an issue. So let's get back to the vector graphics and some of the things that we didn't cover in the intro class that we can talk about right now. I can come in here and make this much larger than the pull down menu here. You can see it already is. It's 144 points. I can also come in here and use the character options. Up here I can go to character this way, or I can go Command or Control T to get that dialog box. And I've got all sorts of ways of spacing out the font, whether it's between the leading, the space between the lines, the bottom of each line, the space between the letters, the tracking or the kerning, the size, the horizontal or the vertical stretching of the letters, and subscript, superscript. These, you've also, if you go to the pull down menu up here, the flyout menu, for each type, you'll get the actual options that are available to you. So I've got a semi-bold and I've got a bold option here. Those are both available to me with this font. I've got a whole bunch of options down here that are faux font options. FAUX. You don't want to use those if you are sending this off to a 4-color printing press, because it's going to get really boggy with the ability to use those fonts if you're keeping them as fonts and not as pixels. If you're rasterizing everything, it doesn't matter, but if you're using a font in something that is going off to a 4-color printing press as a font, don't use the faux options right here. You can use them on your home printer, you can use them in a lot of different ways, but not there. You also have some open face type options here, open type options, and some of these are really fun and cool. I love the swash, for instance, if you have that available to you. Not all typefaces have open type options. So you can go in here and use them. That's old style. Sometimes that makes a difference, sometimes it doesn't. In this case it doesn't. So that's an option as well. You can go through here and try some of those. There are only certain fonts that have those open type options. Okay, I'm going to commit this type by hitting the Command and Return key on the Macintosh, Control and Enter on the PC, and just center it a little bit here. And I want to keep this scalable, and I'm basically, as it says, going to create a logo out of this by just editing the type a little bit. I'm going to come into the Type pull-down menu and not rasterize, but convert it to a shape. And you've seen this in Illustrator if you've studied Illustrator, where you change a type into a shape, and that allows you the flexibility of enlarging or reducing the size without any problems at all, but it doesn't, it takes it out of the font realm, so it's no longer behaving as a font. I'm going to come down here to the Direct Selection tool, and this will allow me to pick out any of these spots, any of the points, and take them and move them around. And this is what I wanted to show you in the type options here. So if I come in here to wherever I have a little place where the points have been set to make this font, and you can see how I can come in here and create a logo out of a letter, a logo out of something that was a typeface, and modify it. Let me see, let me come in here and see how I can mess this up. And there we go. And you can drag these around to your heart's content. Or you can also come in here if you've got too many points and go to the delete an anchor point and see if that'll get you where you want to go. And not particularly in this case. So I am just giving you options, and I'm just kind of playing around with it here and showing you that you've got all sorts of different ways where this can be used to come in and modify type as a shape now and give you options that maybe you didn't know you had. Again, here, if I want this to be smoother, just take that one right out. Oop, type right there. And I'm just playing around a little bit here and stretch out that point to make a nice gentle curve. And you can see how you could start to make really cool shapes out of type alone. You can also do this same procedure with the shape tool. I'm going to come over here and pick the polygon tool right there and just draw out a star here. Let me drag it into the frame here a little bit better, and it's already a shape, so I do not have to come in here and convert it. I can just come in here and select any point and change the shape of the star. So you have starting pieces that you can use in here, and they're going to make your life a lot easier if you're going to try and do something that is a logo. You can come in here and play, and you don't have to draw a star from nothing. You've got the beginning points right here. Okay, so just to let you know, and remember that you've got that lovely convert a point option where if these are hard angles, which all of these are in this star, you can make a curve instead of that by using the convert a point tool. So just click on that, and I can come in here and change that. So you've got those options as well. That I wanted to cover with you, and also to remind you that you have options in the options bar for these tools. If I want to create a shape here, if I'm going to go and do a new shape, I'm going to get rid of this one. I can make it as a shape. It's going to come in as a new layer. If I click on path, it's going to come in as a path only, and we know what a path is. It's not going to print, it's not going to be visible when you look at anything. It's not going to stay there if you make another one. It's just a temporary path right now. It's a work path. But you can also bring it in as pixels. If you don't want to deal with any of the vector issues, then you can bring it in as pixels, and it's going to come right in and not be scalable, but it's going to be easily dealt with as pixels. Okay, so you've got all those options. Just remember that, and I didn't want to leave without saying that is an option. Also, remember your little gear here. You've got the ability to smooth the corners in your star if you want. You've got the ability to not make it a star. You can make it any kind of a shape that you want it to be. You've got the ability to indent the sides by any degree that you want. So I can tell it to indent by 99%, and it's going to be really a star that way. You can indent by a lot less. If you indent by, say, 5, then it's going to be the opposite, where it's barely indented. So just remember that you've got all these options, plus you have the option of custom tools, and you can download all sorts of custom shapes from online, as well as create your own and save your own. And to save your own shape, all you have to do is come in with the rectangular marquee tool, go over the shape, and to find custom shape right there. And that will save the shape for you, and you'll be able to use it. This is a really handy thing if you are making your own logo, especially, or you have a client you work with regularly, save their logo as a custom shape. You can pop it right into anything so easily this way. And you can come up here, go to your custom shape, and then put it in to your custom shapes palette. Super easy to do this. Just to let you know it's there is the big thing.